Hello folks, this time we are going to look into TDC, Top Dead Center mode. We are going to cover what is TDC, why especially snipers and DMRs need the TDC mode. Then we are going to look into the comparison of the mechanics of a standard hop-up adjustment versus a TDC. After that we are going to look into the types of TDC that we can find in the market. Then I would like to show you and share with you my own preference and what I implemented or installed on my SSG10 rifle. The next topic we are going to cover is the installation of my solution, and finally we are going to talk about I'm going to share my thoughts about my installation and the advantages and disadvantages of the TDC mode. So let's get right to it. Let's start with the topic of what is TDC and why snipers or DMRs especially need the TDC mode. So TDC mode is basically a constant 90-degree pressure that we do on the hop-up rubber in order to have a stable pressure on the BB for a longer straight flight, not a maximum range, not a longer maximum range, but a more straight efficient range of the BB, and also for accuracy, meaning a better grouping. If you look at the comparison between a standard and a TDC mode hop-up chambers, in the standard one you will see that we have an adjustment slider which is going to move back and forth in order to have a bigger pressure on the hop-up and to apply a certain amount of spin to the BB. The first issue that we are having with the slider is it's not fixed. So there is no locking mechanism of the slider. So after a couple of shots, the slider can move backwards and you're going to lose some hop. And the second issue that we will have is that the slider is applying an angled pressure. It's not coming from top, but since we are pushing the hop-up arm forward to apply more hop-up on the rubber, we are actually forcing the knob to have an angled force. On the other hand, if we are looking at the TDC mode hop-up chamber, you can see that through a adjustment pin on the top and by turning it on one side, we apply 90-degree, stable, straight and fixed force onto the hop-up rubber, which will give you a constant and a proper spin and well-balanced spin on the BB. So this is basically the biggest reason why we are trying to have the TDC instead of the standard hop-up chamber or standard hop-up adjustment. This is why the snipers or DMRs choose to install the TDC. If we would like to cover the types of the TDCs that we can find on the market, we have 4 types that we can just find at the moment. One of the kinds is something that you can buy from a fellow Airsoft player that is custom-made TDC. So basically some players use screws or some bolts and so on in order to apply this 90-degree straight pressure onto the hop-up, and you might find a fellow Airsoft player that can provide you also his custom-made TDC mod. The second thing that we can buy or find on the market is the only pin, the adjustment pin, or an aftermarket arm and a knob that is actually needs to be combined with that pin, because the pin alone itself is not going to help you if you are not going to use the proper hop-up arm and the knob with it. So as an example, you can have the Snipe Door or Gunsmithy or Ski Kit for these types of for this type of TDC mode, but one more time, it's going to be a lot of pieces that are not made from the same manufacturer. They are always going to have some fitting issues, and you will also always have to adjust that the arm fits into the chamber and the adjustment pin comes directly on the point where it needs to be. Drilling is going to be harder to find the right place, and so on and so forth. So it's a little bit harder, but there are some aftermarket arms and the pins that you can also get in the market. The third type is the chambers, that the TDC enabled chambers. So like Action Army, which needs also a pin, and you need to also have a special arm as far as I know, but the chamber is enabled for the TDC mode, or the Airsoft Philosopher hop-up chamber that you can get for VSR10s or SSG10s are the kits that are at least coming from the same manufacturer, and they are pretty solid, airtight kits. The disadvantage of these kits are the price. Basically, they are very costly. You still have to do a lot of things that by yourself, but you pay a good price also in order these kits to fit in your rifle. And finally, the fourth type is my preferred type. This is the TDC 2.0. You can have the Pro version also by Tridos Design. Let's watch the video together. TDC 2.0 by Tridos Design is a complete kit that you can implement on your SSG10. Let's look into the parts that we receive with the box, and we can see that when you buy the Tridos kit, you first get an adjustment pin, you get an hop-up arm, you get 3 different knobs according to your preference that you can change. You get some O-rings for some rifles, and you get an adjustment arm fixer that we are going to look when we are installing the kit. You get a drill helper tool to make exactly the drilling on the right point on your outer barrel. And on the Pro version, you also get an aluminum housing. You get a pin that makes the clicking sound, so that the hop-up adjustment is not infinite, but with each click you have a small amount of adjustment, and some 3M stickers if you want to disassemble the housing and reassemble it later onwards again on the outer barrel, so you can use this sticker. After watching the product video, we can jump right at the installation on the hop-up chamber. Once we are finished, we are going to look at the drilling part, and then we are going to move on the final thoughts on the TDC 2.0. So let's begin. In order to install the TDC 2.0 in our hop-up chamber, first we need to get rid of some parts. We do not need all the parts that we have on our hop-up chamber. Let's first disassemble it, and then we are going to take out some parts that we are not going to need with the TDC 2.0. Once we disassembled our hop-up chamber, we are going to get rid of some pieces, because for the TDC mode, these pieces are not making any sense to have them on the rifle. So the first thing that we are going to get rid of are these 2 plastic pieces that are holding the barrel in front of the hop-up chamber and also having the adjustment slider move together with it. So I also took out the adjustment slider before. This part we are also not going to need it, so we can already put it aside. The next thing that we are not going to use is, of course, our hop-up arm. So you can just take your hop-up arm by having it up. Don't forget to take all the shims. Also, we will also not need the shims. And we can also put that aside. So we are left with the barrel, the BB blocker, the spring, and the hop-up chamber walls. So I already have chose the parts that I'm going to use in my SSG10. So if I can show you quickly in a proper way. We have the housing, the pro housing, we have the hop-up adjustment pin, we have the hop-up arm, the fixer for the hop-up arm. I chose the dark gray knob to be used, and our drill helper tool. So to start with, let's put the hop-up arm together. In order to do that, you need to find the right place, which is this part, to put the hop-up fixer piece that we get in the box with the same alignment that you have on the hop-up arm. This is going to make the hop-up pin stay exactly on the position. After that, you can already put the hop-up knob below, again with the same alignment that needs to be done. So we have our fixer and the hop-up knob already on the hop-up arm. We can put the hop-up arm in its place and it's going to be fixed, so it is not going to move like a normal hop-up arm that comes in the stock hop-up chamber. This is going to be fixed in its place. Next, we can basically put our barrel in to its place and our BB blocker. After a little bit of a struggle with the spring, this is what we are going to end up with. For a better close-up hop-up chamber final cut, this is basically how it needs to be looking. Right now, we are honestly done. That was everything that we had to do with the hop-up chamber, so we can reassemble our chamber back together. Now that we assembled our hop-up chamber, we can jump into the drilling bit. For the drilling bit, we basically received a tool that is going to help us with the drilling. We already figured and put our setup in its place. So what we need to do is we need to take this little screw out. We basically then need to take this piece also out and push the helping tool where the arrow is showing. So where the arrow direction is showing is the front side of the outer barrel. We push it forward and we are aligning the screw points with our outer barrel screw point. Once they are aligned, we can now screw this small screw that we received with the helper tool to its place. We put back this piece also in its place so that the helping tool is stable inside the outer barrel. Exactly. And now we can drill. Once we are finished, we can take out our barrel assembly. We can take this screw out. With the help of a rod or anything that you can find, you can push the piece out of its place, put it aside, and check our drilled hole. We use, it's recommended to use a 3.5 millimeter drill bit, an iron or steel drill bit. So we have a large hole that is going to be definitely bigger than the adjustment pin that we have. Before implementing the adjustment ring and the housing, we need to put the hop-up chamber back in place. Once the hop-up chamber is in its place, we can immediately look if the hole that we have drilled is coming on top of the hop-up arm fixer that we have implemented in our chamber. So what you need is to check if the pin can go through here freely without any angle or anything. In my case, it looks very clean. It does not matter if the hole is bigger than it needs to be. It just needs to give enough space for the pin to go inside without any angle, so that we can put it straight down. Once the holes are aligned, we can take out the sticker from the housing, align it with the hole, and start putting our pin together so that we have the right angle and the right alignment together with the housing. And here we go. This is how we do the TDC 2.0 Pro version mod. Now that we finished our assembly, we can come directly at the final words. From my perspective, contrary to what other airsoft players think, TDC mod, the installation is not that hard. If you do a custom one, yes, it's definitely going to take a longer time. It's going to take maybe a couple of barrels to try out, but it's going to fit. If you take the other, or if you buy the other aftermarket ones, I'm sure they are also easy, but not that easy with all this drilling helping tool and also the very nice fixed pieces manufactured from the same company like Tridos 2.0 Pro version. The other thing that I really like about this product is a perfect fit. It is incredibly well sitting on the chamber, in the chamber. The air seal is very well done. So you do not even need a Teflon tape or anything. It's very stable and very nice fit with the stock SSG10 chamber. Which comes to the next topic that I find very useful is that you do not have to buy a different chamber. So this product is especially designed for the SSG10 with the stock chamber. So you just need to buy the TDC kit. You don't need another knob. You don't need another arm. You don't need any different parts that you have to take or buy with the other TDC kits on the market. The thin housing is another advantage, which is when you have a big scope on the SSG10, which is a very long one, the pin sometimes is so tight or even touching to the scope. With the TDC 2.0, the housing and the pin itself is the thinnest right now on the market, so you will never ever have any problems with adjusting up on the field. The accuracy and the grouping and the effective shot, the straight projectile of the BB is incredible. Unfortunately, I'm not able to show you right now due to the corona reasons that I'm not able to go out and do some tests in the fields, but I promise that I will also make a video about that. But the accuracy and the grouping is extraordinary. That's it from my side. I hope you enjoyed this mod and this video. Please do not forget to share any comments or any questions with me under the description, and please also do not forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications. See you on the next video.